Yeah, welcome everyone. The Marijuana Times show for January 16th, 2018. My name is Joe Klare. You find this video and many others, well, all the others actually, at marijuanatimes.org. You can share them on your social media networks with your friends. You can also find these videos by searching the Marijuana Times on YouTube and Facebook. Search the Marijuana Times on Apple Podcast to find the audio podcast of the show for those of you who are on the go and just want the audio version. You don't want this beautiful video presentation. That is your prerogative. So if that's all you need, then go with that. Make sure you check out marijuanatimes.org for myself and many other great writers following the cannabis community and industry for you. Today we're going to talk about a new study about crime in states that border Mexico and how marijuana legalization is affecting those crime rates. Also, the couple we told you about last month that got busted with 60 pounds of marijuana that they say were Christmas gifts. They're back in the news. More trouble, if you can imagine that. And also, how Oregon is doing as far as retail shops, recreational shops, selling marijuana to minors. We're talking about all that coming up. But first, of course, the Marijuana Times show is brought to you by Natureside Cannabis.com. Grow safe and poison-free with their organic, all-natural pesticides. Make sure you are regulatory compliant in the state that you are cultivating in, whether it's California or Colorado, Oregon or Washington or beyond. If you're a cannabis cultivator, you want to be regulatory compliant, you want to make sure that what you are growing doesn't have harmful chemicals in it, then you need to check out Natureside Cannabis.com and their line of organic, all-natural pesticides. They can help you become regulatory compliant as well, which is very important if you are a cannabis cultivator. A proud sponsor of the Marijuana Times show, Natureside Cannabis.com. This first story is from marijuanatimes.org by Julia Granowitz. Study finds legalizing cannabis reduces violent crime at the Mexican border. According to a new study titled, "Is Legal Pot Crippling Mexican Drug Trafficking Organizations? The Effect of Medical Marijuana Laws on U.S. Crimes?" It's a rather long title. Researchers found that violent crime went down by 13% on average in states bordering Mexico. California, having the biggest market, saw the biggest reduction at 15%. Meanwhile, Arizona saw the lowest reduction at 7%. When you break it down to individual crimes, the ones that saw the biggest change after medical marijuana legalization were robbery, which fell 19%, and murder, which fell 10%. However, the most important statistic was homicides that directly related to drug trafficking, which fell by a whopping 41% after legalization, according to economist Evelina Garavilova. Yeah, I did that pretty well. One of the authors of the study said, quote, "When the effect on crime is so significant, it's obviously better to regulate marijuana and allow people to pay taxes on it rather than make it illegal. For me, it's a no-brainer that it should be legal and should be regulated, and the proceeds go to the charity." For the study, researchers analyzed data from the FBI and their uniform crime reports and other homicide records from 1994, which is 2 years before California legalized medical marijuana, until all the way up to 2012, the year Colorado and Washington became the first to legalize recreational use. Basically, this follows logically, obviously. If you have legal marijuana and the Mexican drug cartels, who rely heavily on marijuana for a lot of their profits by many accounts, when they're undercut by the legal market, they get less market share, they make less profits, they have less reason to use violence as a dispute solver because they're less involved in the marijuana trade. Now, obviously, there are reports that the cartels are moving on to other drugs, but there's no doubt, whether it's less marijuana seizures at the border or crime rates going down on states that are along the border, there's no doubt the marijuana legalization, and not only medical marijuana legalization, but now recreational marijuana legalization, is having an effect on the cartels and reducing their profits, at least when it comes to marijuana and illegal marijuana sales. So you can check out that story at marijuanatimes.org. Last month, as I said, as we move to this next story, this is from apnews.com. Last month, a couple was busted with 60 pounds of marijuana in Nebraska that they said were going to people as Christmas gifts. They've been arrested again in Nebraska, this time on suspicion of carrying drug money. Patrick Geron, who was 80, and his 70-year-old wife, Barbara, both of Clear Lake Oaks, California, were arrested Tuesday along Interstate 80 in southeastern Nebraska, according to the Lincoln Journal-Star, rather. They were arrested last month along the same roadway in the same vehicle, just 2 counties west. So, first thing we learn about this couple is that they don't learn their lesson, not in the least. They're not. Maybe they're too old. Maybe they've just never been good at it. But for whatever reason, they did not learn from what happened last month. Lancaster County Sheriff's officials said the couple were passengers in a pickup truck that was stopped on suspicion of following another vehicle too closely. A deputy said a search of the truck turned up a duffel bag carrying $18,000 in cash, an oversized garbage bag with raw marijuana residue inside it, and notes consistent with marijuana sales. So they took notes. Major mistake if you're involved in anything illegal. If your goal, which it is for many people who do illegal things, is to not get caught, don't keep notes. But again, this couple they don't learn from anything. They're on the same road. There was someone who's following another vehicle too closely, which if you have $18,000 in cash and a bag full of marijuana residue and notes about how you were selling marijuana, you don't do that. You obey the traffic laws. Well, that's how you get caught again. Out of all people on the road, this same old couple, which made news last month for their 60 pounds of marijuana as Christmas gifts, well, they're making news again because they've been busted yet again. What are the odds of that? I don't know. They're large, they're long, they're astronomical, however you want to put it. It's not easy to do, but this couple, well, you combine a little bad luck with a lot of not knowing what you're doing and not learning from any of your mistakes, and well, there you go. You have problems. This last story is from statesmanjournal.com. State catches some Oregon pot retailers selling to minors. State regulators caught more than a dozen recreational pot retailers, including 5 in the Salem-Keizer area, selling marijuana to minors in the past month. Such unacceptable results have the Oregon Liquor Control Commission scheduling more frequent stings than originally planned and may bring harsher penalties against retailers who state officials thought would be more careful to follow the rules. Of course, under state law, only customers aged 21 years or older can buy marijuana. In December, they conducted a series of stings employing volunteer minors and state inspectors to see whether employees of marijuana retailers were checking IDs before they let customers shop or buy marijuana. Volunteers were all between 18 and 20 years old, with some coming from police cadet programs, according to an OLCC spokesman. Results released Wednesday show that 16 retailers from other parts of the state failed tests, with the highest number 5 in the Salem-Keizer area. Inspectors went to 23 Salem area retailers, meaning the area's compliance rate was 78%, which obviously is not good. Jared DeCamp, co-owner of Herbal Remedies, said the employee who sold marijuana to a minor at his establishment has been fired. It's a disgrace to my company, he said. We strive to uphold a better standard. Now, I would think in a lot of these instances that it was the fault of the employee. The person who has the most to lose from being fined or losing their license for a short period of time, or maybe even permanently, would be the owner of the business. They'd be much more incentivized to make sure they check IDs. It's not a hard thing. It's not a difficult thing. Some are going to like computer scanning systems where you scan the ID and you make sure that it's from someone who's 21 years of age or older. Problematic retailers can expect repeat visits, just like alcohol retailers, Pettinger said. Now, Russ Belville, marijuana journalist and podcaster, one of our friends, he compared this to alcohol compliance rates and found that these compliance rates are slightly better than liquor stores and other establishments that sell alcohol. But it doesn't, it's good for comparison purposes, but in the end, it's unacceptable. 78% is unacceptable. You need to get as close to 100% as possible. There's not a lot of room for error when it comes to the marijuana industry. The marijuana industry is already being looked at for any cracks, any oversights, anything like that. There's no room for error. People who are against legalization are going to point to this and say, see, they're selling to those who are under 21 or under 21 years of age. Now, personally, I think the age should be 18, but that's not what it is. In Oregon, it's 21. And things like this will quickly incentivize owners of these businesses even more to bring it, to have scanning systems or other fail safes. Even if it involves the owner has to come up front themselves and check IDs, they're going to make sure that they're not going to be fined. They're going to make sure that they pass regulations, that they have their license suspended for 3 or 5 or 7 days or 10 days or permanently or whatever, because without the license, they can't sell. And all the potential of the marijuana industry for them is gone because they don't have a business anymore. They don't have a license anymore to sell recreational marijuana. They want to keep those licenses, so they're going to improve, and they're going to have to improve quickly when it comes to compliance. And hopefully they will. I said, things like this has already shown, this operation here in this story has already shown that some companies and some retailers are putting in other systems, whether they're computerized systems, more reliable people at the front door, whatever. Like I said, they're going to do whatever it takes. Because in the end, it's the owners that are going to lose. An employee just, zones out for a minute and doesn't check an ID or lets some people through. The worst they're going to lose is their job, which in some cases, obviously, as I said, has happened. But they're not going to lose their license because they don't have a license to lose. The owners have a license to lose. So it's up to the owners to make sure that this doesn't happen and that 78% gets as close to 100% as possible, as quickly as possible, not only in Oregon, but in Colorado, California, Washington, Alaska, everywhere where recreational marijuana is sold and adult use marijuana is sold, to make sure that they're compliant and they're checking IDs. It's one of the major selling points of legalization. Drug dealers don't check IDs. Retailers who don't want to lose their license should be checking IDs. We'll follow these stories and more, of course, on marijuanatimes.org. You can find these videos there as well. Go share, like, and comment. Help us grow the show as you have been. Thank you for that. Thank you to Cannabis.com, all natural organic pesticides, for being a great sponsor of the show and helping you become regulatory compliant. Don't use pesticides that are harmful. Use organic, all natural, safe pesticides from Cannabis.com. Nature's Side. Side is spelled CIDE, a proud sponsor of the Marijuana Times Show. Thanks everybody for checking us out. We plow on into 2018. It's going to be a huge year. There's been some setbacks so far in the marijuana law reform community. But overall, it looks like it's going to be a huge year. We'll follow it all here at the Marijuana Times Show for you. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.